Hey, how's it going? Hope it's all good with you. I was just thinking about things that were helpful to me as I was caring for my mom with dementia. And a lot of it had to do with taking her to her doctor's appointments. Um, with that being said, there were certain tricks that I had learned over time in caring for my dad, who did not have dementia, but it helped me pre plan the appointments that I had ahead. And it really was very helpful for me being a caregiver to my mom with dementia, who had a habit of making up stories of saying how great her life was, how every day she would walk around the block and walk a mile, and she would do all these things, and they'd be things that she used to do, but it's not necessarily things that she did presently. In her mind, she was still very much active in that active lifestyle. But you know what? You go to a doctor's office, they ask you questions, they're going to believe what you tell them. But when you're dealing with someone with dementia, who knows if it's the truth? Who's going to filter that? I, being her daughter, was aware of what she was and wasn't doing. And I realized, because I had made myself absent in her life when she was independent and taking herself to the doctor's office, that I realized, Mom, you're feeding him a lot of BS. You're saying you're giving him all the right answers, the things that you think he wants to know, that you think it would make him happy, but you're not actually taking your medicines. You're not doing any of that stuff. Yeah, you're having your prescriptions fulfilled, but you're not taking the medicine to get better. You're not being completely honest with them. And when I became more and more involved in her life, I started to see what was reality and what was in her mind of what she claimed to be doing. So I'm going to give you some tips to help you out when you have to deal with your loved one and the doctor's office. You may think there's a lot of red tape, and sometimes there is, but these tips will help cut that red tape to a minimum. Number one, connect with your doctor or the primary nurse in that office. There's always one person that oversees everything and is basically his right hand. Get to know that person, build up a relationship with them, send them either an email or a note prior to the appointment. What I did with my dad, and I ended up doing this with my mom, is I went and I would contact either the nurse after building up a relationship with them. They knew who I was. And I would say, hey, this is the status currently. This is what's happening. This is how her meds are working out. This is what she's doing. That's not what she's doing. She may say this, she may say that, so that when the doctor actually comes to the appointment, he's not blindsided. He knows the truth. And I'm not being uh, disrespectful to my mom, blatantly open there going, Mom, that's not true. No, that's not true. No, that never happened. I don't want to do that because I don't want mom to shrink down to nothing in front of the doctor. My mom and both my dad came from the world where the doctor knows everything and they're so respective of their position and their professional uh, job that they took their word as gold. Things have changed in the medical field these days. It's they were highly respected by my parents who were in their 80s, and that's just the way it was because physicians were treated differently and with respect, and rightfully so. But things have changed over the time, and not saying that we need to be disrespectful. It's just I'm trying to tell you as a caregiver, be involved, be your advocate for your loved one. That's the best way. Nobody's going to fight for your loved one more than you. And your doctor, honestly, is probably bogged down with other patients, doesn't have time to look into the file as deep as you want them to. I've caught that many, many times with both my parents, dementia or not dementia, but help them. They only know what the patient is telling them. And if the patient is leading them astray in information, then you be the advocate for your loved one to say, hey, no, this is the right way that we're going. This is what's happening. So send a note, make a phone call, Do an email prior to the appointment so that you know you're on the same page. And if you need to speak to them a little bit afterwards, then so be it. But you have this relationship that's so important. You know, I used to do that with medication for mom, her mental status, her behavior, I would discuss everything prior. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn out thing. Just make sure there's open communication between you, the primary care physician, and or the head nurse of the staff in the office. And number two, it's always good that the doctor and the staff knows who you are. You're the primary care physician contact. You are the point of contact for their patient, and how you establish that. If you have a power of attorney drawn up, make sure they have a copy of that so it's on file. Make sure that there's an authorization form signed by either the hospital, if they're admitted into a hospital, the primary care physician's office. Every place has an authorization form that says you as a caregiver, you as a authorized family member are able to receive information, that they're able to contact you. The difference is that if you don't have a power of attorney in place, your loved one has to sign this form to say, yes, that's my daughter. Yes, that's my son. You can talk to them on my behalf. Anything that happens with me, you can speak to them. That authorization form is existing in everywhere. Doctor's offices, dental offices, hospitals. If they're admitted, make sure you have that. Because bottom line is that you can admit a person into a hospital, but if you call up to get updates, they won't even talk to you. They look for this form. It's very important that you have that form. So it's an authorization release form identifying you. Also, if there's a durable power of attorney for healthcare, healthcare directive that you are going to help your loved one in making health decisions, make sure they have a copy of that too. Doctor's offices need it on file, hospitals need it on file. All these places, dental place, they all need to have this on file because they need to know you're not the patient, but I'm able to speak to you. You are representing the patient, their client. So important. And again, I'm just going to reiterate this over and over again. Build a relationship with the staff. Make sure that the staff knows who you are. You can call them up. It cuts through so much red tape. I'll never forget it when I first walked over to my mom's doctor and I went to the appointment. He looked at me and he goes, "Who are you?" I go, "Well, I'm her daughter." "Oh yeah, well, why are you so insistent to be in the exam room when?" And I said, "Because my mom, apparently, according to you, she's been deemed with dementia. I'm here to be her advocate. I need to see firsthand what it is that's happening. I want to know what you're telling her, because when I ask her, if I don't go into the appointment with her, if I'm not in the examination room with her, she'll repeat the information back to me. But am I getting the right information?" The same reason I am there for my mom to explain things to her. I want to know that what I'm getting from her is what you actually said. It goes both ways. He may be talking directly to my mom and saying, "This is what you need to have. This is what you need to do." But, at least I'm hearing it directly from that person. A lot of people are going, "Oh, no, no, no. I can't be in the room with they're having an examination or anything like that." Yes, you can. And get over yourself. How are you ever going to know what's really being said that would help your parent, help your loved one, your husband, your wife, your kid? How are you ever going to know that unless you hear it directly from the physician? Vice versa. How do you know that your patient, your loved one, is saying the right things to the doctor so he could be prescribing the right things for you? Somebody has to be the advocate. And yes, it's uncomfortable to be there. Nothing's worse than when I was in my dad's appointment and he was being examined. It's not a big deal. Nothing embarrassing happened, except he kept losing weight. So his shorts dropped. And there's my dad standing in front of me in his underwear. Thank God he wasn't in commando mode. Not that he ever did that, but I'm just saying, oh my gosh, these are things, yes, have to get past. You have to get past that. And I know it's uncomfortable, but how else are you going to protect your loved one? How else are you going to be able to speak on his or her behalf? These are things, my hair is bugging me. These are things that you need to think about. The other thing too is, as my mom's dementia progressed, she wasn't able to get around as freely. Her mobility was an issue, but she had to have every 3 months labs, same labs. Make sure that if you have the same type of labs that he wants, that they're standing orders, meaning they'll always be there. And what they did is they would automatically send over the order to the lab place, whether it be Quest Labs or LabCorp or whatever the case may be. They would automatically send it to the place that we would go to, which is all great. But my mom became bedridden. And I had found out, because I had to hunt it down, that they have in-home services. I kept telling my PCP, I kept telling mom's doctor, there's people that can't come into the office because they're bedridden. What do they do? And they say, well, there is in-home lab services. I guess it's getting hard for me to put my mom in the car by myself to get standard labs done, because she had to have her blood checked. And occasionally she kept having so many UTIs, urinary tract infections, that she had to have those things done. And I found out Quest Labs does an in-home service for a nominal fee. And there's another one called getlabs.com. I think they're nationwide. You should be able to get the order to them, and they'll be able to perform what they need to perform at your house, so your loved one doesn't have to leave the home if they're unable to. And it's very important, because you've built up this relationship with the medical staff, specialists as well, not just your primary care physician. If you have a specialist, you need to have that authorization form filled out with them. You need to do the same type of paperwork with the specialist, because they're not going to have it just because you gave it to the primary doctor. You need to establish that. But once you establish that stuff, you can easily go to the person that's your point of contact and say, hey, I need to have that lab report or that lab order. I need a copy of it. Could you email it to me? Usually there's no problem, because what happens is, if you have an in-home lab, they will want a copy of that. They're not going to have it. They're just a service to do what's been ordered, but you have to have the physical hard copy in hand to give to them. I'm telling you, it saves a lot of heartache, a lot of miscommunication. There's so many things. It's all about building up a relationship with the staff on behalf of your loved one. I can't emphasize it enough. And you'll find that life gets a little bit easier because you're cutting through the red tape. There's so much red tape. But if you get these things in order, if you get them all set up, maybe make a binder instead of, make the binder up and say, hey, I got a copy of the power of attorney. Here you go. Here I'm in charge of my mom, my dad. Here, I'm listed. Here, you make a copy of it. Give me back my thing. I put it back in my binder. Do you have an authorization form? Here, let me fill it out. You need my mom's signature? Fine. Okay, whatever. But here, this should take care of it. Have all that stuff in place. It'll save you so much headache. It really will. And if you find yourself in the hospital in need of service, you'll have the paperwork in a binder ready to go. Make sure it's a copy. You don't have to have the original, but you know what? At least it's with you. You won't have any problems. And the thing too is, if you have it, if you're at a hospital, you'll know who to contact. You'll have people's names in this binder, who your primary contact is, and they'll know who you are. Relationship communication is always key. And with that, I say, continue to be blessed, and always remember to be good to yourself. This is one way of being good to yourself, right? Hey, I'm going to see you in the next video. In the meantime, take care. Bye. Hey, thanks for watching. And please remember to hit the subscribe button. We are trying to grow our channel and reach 1,000 subscribers. Now, for every new subscriber, these two nutheads right here, they're going to get a treat, so we will all be happy. Thanks for watching.